Very good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Different News. Today, I have my friend Raksha with me. Well, Sri Raksha Sudheendra is the founder of Madilu. So, what is Madilu? What do Raksha do? And what are we talking about today? It's yet to be explored as onion peels. Welcome, Raksha. Thank you so much for being on my show, and it's a pleasure to host you. And we are going to talk about something which is very, very essential, that is about feminine leadership.
Thanks a lot, Gargi, for featuring me and for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to peel that onion with you.
Yeah. So I think we hear a lot about feminine leadership and things like that. I think let's have a more idea about from you, because you are into the domain, you work with female leaders. So first of all, before going into the context, I would really like to understand your journey as a person and how you landed up with Madilu.
Yeah, thank you for that. And let me start off with what I do. So, I am an energy worker by calling. I am an engineer by my studies, and Madilu, the founder of Madilu, by my passion. So I had a 15-year journey with my corporate career, and I joined in as an engineer in companies like Microsoft and Bosch, and worked for 15 years in multiple aspects of the corporate world. So, after being in deep tech for really long, I ended up trying different things like business planning. I went into leading programs for innovation, for efficiency, and final stint was with the HR Impact, where the C-suite leaders were reviewing a org transformation project that I was a program manager for. So I had this very diverse experience in the corporate space, and one of my favorite projects that I led, programs that I designed and led, was the women leadership program for one of the business units. I designed this women leadership program for around 500 women in that business unit, and in that ideation workshop with a lot of diverse crowds. So it had across generation, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and we also had male and female representative. With a diverse crowd, we were deciding what do we do and how do we get to build this pipeline. And one of the questions, one of the very well-meaning male leader, senior leader asked, "What is it that you women want? Let us know, and we'll facilitate it for you." And that question stayed with me. Of course, there were a lot of suggestions given, and we did the usual stuff of doing programs, networking, visibility, self confidence, all of this. But somehow that question stayed with me, and I started asking myself, what are my needs really as a woman? And every time I put a need, I realized the business needs something else out of me. And somehow what was deeply, easily, naturally my strength was considered either not very approved or useful, or it was not even on the KPI, you know. So it left a lot of questions in me, and I, of course, continued with my corporate career. There was another thing that I was doing already before Madilu was officially formed, that I was into inner child healing, a lot, helping a lot of women deal with their childhood trauma and kind of return to themselves. So this was also happening parallelly as I was in the corporate job. Somewhere the amalgamation of that question with the inner child healing that I did, and answering that question of what do I really need as a woman to thrive, I think that led to the birth of Madilu.
Okay, so thank you, Raksha, for saying all those, sharing all these things and setting the context, because how Madilu formed, and I mean, now we understand like what was your trigger point. Well, in general, I think if I have to say, make a bold statement, that is what I am known for on my podcast, is unfiltered. So, you know, do you really think that women, as women, when we talk about being feminine or this feministic thing inside us, it has anything to do with when we are taking up leadership role, not only in a hierarchy model of a job place, even when we are becoming entrepreneurs, like you and
Yeah.
me. So do you think that we really there is a amalgamation, or there is a context to each other? What is your perspective?
Interesting question. So I asked this question exactly when I started building Madilu. So,
Wow. Mm-hmm.
and I asked, okay, I know the corporate way of doing things. I know that goals have to be smart, specific, measurable, actionable, time bound, and all of that. And if I were to set goals for myself,
Hmm.
stepping into the feminine, how would it
Hmm.
look?
Hmm.
It looks very different actually when we start working from within the feminine aspect, because most of these goals, everything, right, it is
Hmm.
very from the industrial age that it has come. So you
Correct.
have a production line, you have a specific time when the factory works, and then you want to produce a maximum in that time. So
Hmm.
it's kind of all of the KPIs, productivity, scaling, all of these
Ah,
are terms which are borrowed from that industrial age. And then
right.
it was kind of copy pasted and, maybe tweaked to the context of people
Ah.
who are not machines, but we were supposed to be productive life machines.
Hmm.
So when you switch that context and come into the feminine, it will be like, I'm building a system that works for me, and I'm not going to work for the system. I have to make the
Correct.
system work for me. So, what will that system look like? So, I started defining goals very differently, success very differently. Success was more about how fulfilled I feel, along with it bringing in the revenue. It was
Hmm.
not only about how quickly did I scale, how much revenue did I make,
Hmm. Hmm.
how
Hmm.
much did I grow as a person, how much felt aligned, how much felt like an impact from what I'm doing. These were my success factors, of course, along with the revenue. But that was not the prime motive. Revenue always became a
Hmm.
means to do something more impactful. So I think it has a lot of difference when you approach it from within your inner compass and
Hmm.
feminine aspect. Definitely started looking at it all very differently when I built something of my own.
Fantastic. I think I love what you said. And I think the systems that are that, I mean, again, we can't just generalize things. I'm sure a lot of organizations in today's world looks into and take care of this part of the thing. But I think, as you said, if I have to just we have to just talk general, it's mostly it's a set pattern which where women have to adjust, or they have to work for the system rather than the system being working for them. So I
Right.
completely align with what you were saying. So well, uh, having said that, what do you think, like when you talk about KPIs, it's and in business also we need to put those things for ourselves, not talking about our team members or our partners or whatever. But what do you think, as a woman leader yourself, as an entrepreneur yourself, and coming from also the hierarchy system that you have worked for such a long time, if I have to ask you that, give me four impactful KPIs that should be there, and it somewhere it is blurred at this moment, what would be those four?
This is very interesting, huh? So for me, the KPI is always about one of the major one is impact. What is the
Mm,
impact you're creating through your business, through your thing? I may scale, maybe, to be the highest revenue collector in the world, but what is the impact on the people that you're
mm,
serving? Is it going
correct.
to increase their well-being or decrease it? What is the impact on the ecology? Are you extracting or are you giving back, and is it sustainable? Other KPIs like, if you see Bhutan, for example, it talks about happiness index as a KPI. Have you considered that? Um,
Mm,
and now with the advent of AI, most of the things that we were supposed to be efficient, productive,
mm,
everything is being managed by AI. So are you creating or are you producing? That's another big KPI that I would say. There's a lot of difference between being productive and being creative. So I
absolutely.
think it's time to put all of our energies into being deeply human and being creative rather than focusing on scaling production and all of this, which anyway there is execution and happening, and AI can do a lot of it already. So I would say these would be the KPIs I would look at.
I think that's a fantastic answer, and thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so Raksha, as a curious mind, if I have to just go back to the basics, ABCD of what we are talking today, if I just put it as straight as to you as a question, like, what is feminine leadership? What exactly is this two words coming together? What does it imply or mean? So, yeah, I think I'd
Yeah,
learn
I
that from
think
you.
this is a question that's very often asked to me because a lot of people think I'm talking about women as leaders.
Uh
That's
huh.
not what is feminine leadership. So here, it's not even gender based. It is an intelligence available in every human. So there is the masculine and the feminine within each of us. And when you have the industrial age, what it did essentially was award and reward only the masculine aspects of us. Like I already mentioned,
Mm,
how much can you do the same thing again and again? So, and how quickly can you do? How much can you do? This is what was kind of rewarded. But there is within us, half of us, which is the feminine intelligence, that is dormant and so rich that we are not even looking at. And this is the feminine leadership is actually tipping into those intelligences within you, which are feminine, which are
mm,
much needed for today's world. I will explain how, but which are much needed for today's world, to bring that up, to lead
mm,
the
mm.
feminine to lead you, and the masculine to help you execute what wherever you're being led. So this is feminine leadership, where the feminine leads and the masculine executes, and this is possible for each one of us. It is not gender specific. So this
Amazing.
is what I would put it across as.
That's very interesting. I mean, I think it's a very new, fresh perspective that I learned, and of course, whoever is listening us would be, because when we, as I say that when we just weave these two words, it seems like to be all about women, but it's absolutely not. We are talking about the attribute, the human attribute that we need to trigger more. One versus the other. Wherever it's required, we need to trigger that. If I have
I
understood correctly.
want to add to this,
Yeah.
since I'm an
Yeah.
energy worker and I
Yeah.
understand the energetics of how humans work,
Right.
I would call this energy literacy, because
Hmm.
you need to understand what are the energies within you, and only when it is balanced and complementary are you whole, integrated, and able to
Ah.
thrive. So you're reaching your full potential. If you ignore half of it, it's like
Mm-hmm.
lugging around a weight instead of actually using it to fly, using it as wing to fly.
True. 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 Very true. Well, I think it's a very interesting conversation going on today. But let me just, let us learn what Madilu is all about. Can you just give? I mean, you said the context. We understand from where your passion started, and you are doing this. But what exactly is Madilu all about, and what are the things that you do? Would really, I mean, you try to help people. So, what are
Yeah.
those things under Madilu? Yeah.
So the word Madilu itself is from my mother tongue, Kannada, and it's a
Okay.
beautiful word which means the mother's lap.
Wow.
And and essentially, why I chose this name was, it is a lap where you feel deeply safe and can be yourself with complete abandonment. You don't have to worry about performing. You don't have to worry about how you're perceived. You can just be yourself. And I wanted to provide this space for people to come and kind of get in touch with themselves, become fully aware of their potential, and actually go out of the world and execute and live that possibility. So, in
Hmm.
a nutshell, it's that.
Hmm.
But to go a little more specific into what it is that I do, I have two distinct areas that I work with.
Okay.
So one is with the corporate space, with this feminine leadership, building
Mm-hmm.
businesses. It doesn't even have to be corporate spaces. It could be startups, entrepreneurs, but rethinking leadership and redefining success for
Hmm.
businesses. This is one
Hmm.
aspect. And then I have another very close to my heart aspect, which is working with parents, children, and the education system. So
Okay.
I call it heal the parent so that
Uh-huh.
they can let the child be as themselves, and you're not putting in your fears, biases, and expectations on the child. So that I do with the parents as inner child healing. And then
Hmm.
with the child itself, we I collaborate with a lot of other educators and
Huh.
storytellers and curriculum builders to actually explore what we can do with the child for, so that they can express freely, think creatively, and just allow them to thrive with their ideas. So I provide some programs and spaces that way. And
Okay.
the third part is actually about alternate education. I really
Ah.
feel it's high time that we revamp that education system again, for the same fact that we have been producing factory workers from factories. I'm
Yes,
telling a very bold
absolutely.
statement. We are
Absolutely.
not creating thinkers, we are creating followers. Some people who are obedient will follow a particular system. But I'm so glad, as much as there's fear looming about AI, I'm still glad that AI is coming, because it's
Yeah.
forcing people to rethink what intelligence they want to reward, what intelligence they want to grow. And
Correct.
there will be more thinkers and leaders that come out of this. So I really support alternate education. It could be
Hmm.
any method like Montessori, Waldorf, homeschooling, unschooling. I have a
Hmm.
virtual community called the Gardener Circle, where I
Hmm.
consider the child is a seed and the parents are the gardeners and the education are the gardeners.
Hmm.
So I run that, and again I speak a lot about how to be more open, how to break our own biases as educator and parents, and how can we give a more alternate approach to learning, because children by default are very curious to learn
Yeah.
the world around them. So how can we nurture and allow that? So these are the two main things that I do with Madilu.
Okay, so if I have to weave the two things, probably as I'm perceiving it, you are trying to nurture the child as a child, and probably when we become adults, we need to bring that child back inside us. So probably
Yes.
that's the. So I mean, I just think it's very connected. Like, and you're just setting context in two different environments, like corporate
Yes.
and the schools. So I think it's wonderful. I mean this is something which, at least for me, it's a very new fresh knowledge, and thank you for sharing what you do.
Thank you, Gargi. That's a nice
Yeah, so Raksha, coming to the almost to the concluding part of our conversation, now we understand from the context that you started Madilu, we understand what Madilu does for people. Uh, but if somebody wants to work with you, right? So, what would be that approach, or what are the things that you could do for the people? Is it like only you work with organizations, or is it like you also work with individuals? And a continuation of the same being, if they want to reach out to you, where should they do that?
So I work with anyone, whether it's an individual or an organization, who want to rethink and realign with their core self.
Hmm.
So I do a lot of work with individuals who are women leaders as well, and also with organizations who are curious to try this out, maybe do a proof of concepts, or maybe try for a quarter, trying to see goals differently. So there are a lot of possibilities. But the
Right.
first place I think to reach out to me would be on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I am available as Sri Raksha Sudheendra. It's the same spelling that you find on the screen. So here you can DM me or follow me to read my articles on feminine leadership. Maybe it offers a lot of perspective shifts. I put out a lot of perspective shifting posts on in there. So I think that would be the another place to reach out and maybe engage with the content.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you want to already look at my previous contents, you can check the hashtag feminine leadership, and you'll find everything that I have written about feminine leadership there. For
Amazing.
those who are on Medium, you can also find me on Medium with the same spelling.
Okay, that's great. So I mean, so we have two channels to reach out to you. One is LinkedIn, one is Medium, and hashtag feminine leadership would be
Yes.
something where people can find more information that you have already shared. So I think it was very, very interesting, and thank you so much for being here, because I think this podcast, in terms of the name, as it suggests, is different news, and I hope to my audience I could display some different news because at least for me this was a very fresh information. So, is there? So, before we just go away and bid a goodbye, is there any message that you would like to tell to the world?
Um, just to actually get out of autopilot and actually sit with yourself and see where are you running, why are you running, what are you doing, and get back into alignment if you feel something is out of alignment. So I would say pause and sit with yourself. I think it's much needed in a world where we are running.
Amazing perspectives. So pause and sit with yourself. That's the tagline. I'm going to take steal from this conversation and put it out when I am talking about this particular episode, our conversation. And yeah, and I think I met you in person. So I think you are a very interesting and very lovable person. So thank you so much once again. And it was really, really interesting and nice talking with you.
Gargi, I do want to thank you too, because it's not only something interesting. I can talk 100 interesting things, but it's also in the eyes of the beholder. So to be able to recognize topics which are different, which have potential, and which mean something to the world, it takes a keen eye to recognize that. And I appreciate you, and I can see that
Thank you.
wonderful skill in you. May your podcast grow and bring in new perspectives, and wishing you good luck. And thank you for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.